High in the misty peaks of Peru lies a city that by all logic should never have existed. For more than 100 years, Machu Picchu has been labeled a palace, a fortress, even a sacred temple. But what if everything we've been told is completely wrong? In the year 2025, researchers uncovered a secret buried beneath its stones for half a millennium, and once you discover it, you'll never look at this ancient wonder the same way again. Stay tuned, because the final truth will leave you stunned. The Century of Confusion. The Century of Confusion. In 1911, Yale professor Hiram Bingham hacked his way through the thick Andean brush and stumbled upon ruins that stunned the entire world. The city seemed to defy gravity, perched on a razor-thin ridge 2,430 meters above sea level. Terraces jutted out over sheer rock, temples gazed across dizzying drops, and stone walls rose straight into the clouds. From the outside, it looked untouched, as if time itself had forgotten about it. Bingham believed he had uncovered the legendary lost city of the Incas. But the Quechua people living nearby had never lost sight of it at all. Yet from the very beginning, the site posed more mysteries than it solved. Unlike other great Inca centers, Machu Picchu wasn't linked by broad roads to the kingdom beyond. There were no traces of bustling markets, trade caravans, or packed neighborhoods. Its gardens, though striking, were far too small to sustain a large population. Instead of a lively city, it looked more like a riddle carved into stone. For scholars, the contradiction was baffling. Why would the Incas construct such an extraordinary place in a location so remote and dangerous? The ridge itself was unstable and narrow, flanked on all sides by cliffs plunging nearly 500 meters into the Urubamba River. The slopes surrounding it were steep, rocky, and unsuitable for farming at any scale. For a society famed for its efficiency and mastery of logistics, the choice made little sense. As the 20th century unfolded, the puzzle only deepened. Temples were aligned with solstices and moon cycles with perfect precision. The stone walls were fitted so tightly that not even a blade of grass could slip between them. Every detail pointed to deep ceremonial purpose, yet none of it explained the central mystery. Why build here at all? Study after study seemed to raise more questions than answers. Bingham himself complicated matters further. He removed hundreds of artifacts and shipped them to Yale, sparking a century-long dispute with Peru over rightful ownership. His claim of discovery wove neatly into a Western narrative that overlooked indigenous memory. From the very beginning, foreign interpretations often outweighed local knowledge. Machu Picchu's identity was shaped less by Peruvians than by outsiders looking in. Even the land itself magnified the paradox. The twin peaks of Machu Picchu and Huayna Picchu rose like sharp sentinels, carved apart by the relentless flow of the river. To reach the city, travelers wound through cloud forests and treacherous slopes. Unlike Cusco, the empire's beating heart, it lay outside major trade routes. In a society built on connection, Machu Picchu seemed deliberately difficult to reach. That remoteness made daily life almost impossible. Feeding workers, hauling tools, and transporting massive stones must have been a constant struggle. The terraces carved into the mountainside could grow crops, but not enough to support thousands of residents year-round. And without wheels or draft animals, moving enormous stone blocks was nearly unthinkable. From a practical standpoint, Machu Picchu simply shouldn't have been possible. It was obvious from the start just how risky this place was. The region gets nearly 2,000 millimeters of rain every year, bringing floods and erosion. On every side, the cliffs dropped away in deadly vertical falls. One wrong step on those slippery trails, and you were gone. The constant rain threatened foundations and turned even the most carefully built steps unstable. In every sense, this was the last place anyone should try to build a city. Archaeology backs this up. Evidence shows Machu Picchu was never meant to be lived in year-round. Many of the bones uncovered belonged to workers and servants rather than family groups, suggesting it wasn't a permanent settlement. Its isolation and danger make it look less like a bustling city center and more like something else entirely. So why build here at all if it wasn't practical? The Incas were master planners. They commanded tens of thousands of workers, carved roads across impossible landscapes, and wasted nothing. Machu Picchu wasn't an accident. It looked less like a mistake and more like a deliberate choice, though for reasons hidden from us. But what if the stones beneath Machu Picchu hold a story far older and stranger than the ruins millions of tourists climb every year? The 2025 breakthrough. For more than a century, archaeologists tried to read meaning in Machu Picchu's temples, terraces, and stonework. But in 2025, everything shifted when geologists joined the study. Leading the project was Brazilian scientist Rualdo Menegat, who brought in tools normally reserved for studying earthquakes. Instead of asking who built the city or why, they asked what was happening beneath it. That single change cracked puzzles that had baffled experts for decades. While archaeologists studied artifacts, geologists studied the ground itself. They tracked how the bedrock shifted under the city. Satellite images revealed hidden fault lines. Ground-penetrating radar exposed structures beneath the surface. Electrical resistivity mapped how water and electricity flowed through cracks. And using cosmic rays, moon tomography allowed them to peer into the very heart of the mountain. Every technique pointed toward the same revelation. Machu Picchu wasn't just perched on a mountain. It stood at the exact crossing of two massive earthquake fault systems, a natural X. Far from being a mistake, science now suggested the Incas chose this spot because of the cracks. What modern engineers call weakness, the Incas saw as opportunity. The X in the rock was more than symbolic. The fault lines created natural channels that drained rainfall through the mountain. This was the secret of the city's legendary water system. Instead of fighting nature, the Incas engineered with it. Floodwaters that should have destroyed the site were carried safely away, leaving behind terraces and foundations that still endure centuries later. What looked like fragility became the key to strength. This same partnership with the land shows up in the stonework itself. Many blocks weren't dragged from far-off quarries at all. They were split directly from fractured bedrock beneath the site. Natural cracks provided ready-made seams, making it easier to carve massive granite stones. What looked like impossible labor was really a clever collaboration with geology. The mountain gave them both the material and the method. Even sacred temples were aligned with these cracks. Entire structures seemed to follow invisible grids carved into the earth. This wasn't chance, it was deliberate. By mapping both their spiritual and practical spaces onto natural lines of force, the Incas turned the mountain itself into a blueprint. They didn't resist nature, they partnered with it. Geologists believe these fractures also made the city more resilient. Where solid rock can shatter in an earthquake, fractured rock disperses the energy. By building on broken ground, the Incas may have safeguarded Machu Picchu from destruction. What once looked like a fatal risk turned out to be a survival strategy. This new perspective reshapes everything we thought about the site's location. Scholars once argued Machu Picchu was chosen for defense or trade. Geology now shows it was chosen to harness the very energy of the earth. Where modern engineers see fault lines as flaws, the Incas saw them as opportunities. That mindset is clearest in their control of water. The Andes are battered by torrential rains that could have wiped the city away. Yet the cracks beneath Machu Picchu worked like veins, channeling excess water into controlled paths. Stone drains didn't fight erosion. They enhanced what the mountain already did. That partnership is why Machu Picchu has survived centuries of violent storms, but the meaning goes beyond engineering. To the Inca, mountains were sacred beings, alive with power. Building at the crossroads of two earthquake faults wasn't just practical, it was symbolic. The Great X beneath Machu Picchu joined land, sky, and humanity in a single sacred space. What geologists now call fractures, the Incas may have seen as holy crossings. Even their legendary stonework becomes clearer through this lens. For centuries, scholars wondered how massive blocks were shaped so perfectly. The answer lies in the bedrock itself. Natural cracks gave the Incas ready-made seams, allowing them to split and shape stones with astonishing accuracy. What looks like lost technology was really ingenious use of the land. Seen this way, Machu Picchu is far more than an architectural marvel. It is a masterpiece of Earth itself. Every terrace, canal, and wall is a conversation between people and nature. The mountain gave the Incas cracks, water, and stone, and with them they built a city that endures to this day. The rocks. The stone's secret gifts. The granite of Machu Picchu is among the hardest stone on Earth. Normally, shaping it would take massive effort and heavy tools. But here, nature had already done much of the work. Fault lines running through the ridge fractured the rock into blocks. The Incas only had to split and refine them, which is how they fit huge stones so tightly together without mortar. Instead of hauling rock from faraway quarries, builders used the mountain itself. Broken stone lay ready at their feet, turning the site into a natural toolbox. What seemed impossible before iron or wheels suddenly became achievable. To the Incas, cracks in the ridge weren't flaws, they were gifts. The result was precision. Stones fractured along natural seams, then sharpened with hammerstones, created walls so tight that even a knife blade can't slip through. What looked like magic was really a partnership with the mountain. But stone wasn't the only gift. From fractured rock, a spring emerged, feeding a 750-meter canal and 16 stone fountains across the city. This water wasn't just practical, it was sacred. For the Incas, springs were holy connections between earth and sky. The fountains symbolized both survival and divine blessing. Even more impressive, the water system protected the city itself. Instead of flooding, runoff was guided into hidden drains with gravel and sand, filtering it deep into the slopes. In fact, 60% of Machu Picchu's engineering lies underground, in supports and drainage unseen by tourists. What looks like simple farming terraces are in truth storm defenses. Without this system, the city would have collapsed like countless others in the Andes. But the Incas treated water not as an enemy, but as a partner. They built with geology, not against it. The genius of Machu Picchu was never brute force. It was vision. A civilization that turned cracks, springs, and storms into allies, creating a city designed to last forever. A pattern hidden across the Andes. At first, geologists thought the cracks under Machu Picchu were a coincidence. But soon, the same pattern appeared across the Andes. From Cusco to Ollantaytambo, Inca cities and fortresses were often built directly on fault lines. These weren't accidents. They were chosen hubs where nature already provided hidden advantages. Scholars now call this ethnogeology, a deep cultural science passed down for generations. By watching rocks split, springs flow, and hills shift, indigenous people learned how the land worked. The Incas inherited this knowledge and turned it into strategy. Reading mountains like others read books. Faults gave them everything: water from springs, stone cut along natural seams, cliffs that doubled as defenses. Cusco, the heart of the empire, rose at the crossing of fault lines that channeled rivers into the valley, feeding tens of thousands of people. Ollantaytambo's terraces, walls, and quarries also followed the lines of broken rock, blending seamlessly into the landscape. This secret planning explains how the Inca Empire grew so fast without wheels, steel, or draft animals. They didn't fight the land. They let the land work for them. Every spring, crack, and ridge became a shortcut nature had already drawn. Their technology wasn't machines, but memory, centuries of observation woven into stories, rituals, and cities. To modern eyes, it looks invisible, but it was as advanced as today's satellite mapping. From above, the Andes seemed like chaos, jagged peaks and valleys. But to the Incas, it was a live map of opportunities. Towns weren't scattered randomly. They were nodes on a hidden grid carved into the bones of the earth. The mountains weren't obstacles. They were the kingdom's greatest builders. The invisible masterpiece. For years, historians saw Machu Picchu as a paradox, a city forced onto impossible ground. But new discoveries proved the opposite. The Incas didn't fight the mountain, they built with it. Terraces stabilized the slopes and absorbed quakes. Homes and temples followed bedrock lines for safety. Stairs and channels matched the natural flow of the land, moving water without floods. What seemed risky was actually brilliant adaptation. That's why Machu Picchu has endured storms, landslides, and earthquakes for centuries, while modern towns often crumble. More than half of the city lies underground. Foundations, drains, and stone layers hidden beneath the ruins. The true masterpiece is invisible, written deep into the mountain itself. For the Inca, nature was never an enemy. It was a partner, teacher, and sacred force. Machu Picchu isn't just a city of stone. It's proof of a civilization that lived in balance with the earth. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And click the next video on your screen for more amazing discoveries.